When most people picture a semi-truck, they think of the long-nosed beasts cruising down American interstates. These trucks look intimidating, but that's part of the problem. The visual impression is all cab, massive sleeping quarters, stretched hoods, polished chrome, while the trailer hasn't changed much since the 1980s. Meanwhile, in countries with much narrower roads in tighter cities like Finland or the Netherlands, the trailers are longer, the loads are heavier, and the safety features are far more advanced. How is it that Europe and Australia are winning the freight game, while the US, the country that gave the world the semi-truck, hasn't kept up? To understand why, we need to rewind to the beginning. The first semi-truck came from Cleveland, Ohio in 1898. A man named Alexander Winton wanted to deliver his early automobiles without adding miles to them. So he strapped a car onto a motorized flatbed, creating a primitive version of the semi-truck. Over time, this idea evolved into a tractor-trailer setup. One truck pulling interchangeable trailers. As the 20th century rolled on, trucks got diesel engines, pneumatic tires, and better suspension. America built highways to match, especially after World War II, when the interstate system turned the US into a country of coast-to-coast travel. This is where things changed. In 1956, when Congress passed the Federal Aid Highway Act, they also introduced a federal weight limit, 73,000 pounds. That was later bumped up to 80,000 pounds in 1982, and ever since then, nothing. The weight limit has remained frozen in time, even though truck technology, infrastructure, and global logistics have all advanced. That 80,000-pound cap includes the tractor, trailer, and cargo. It's like telling automakers they can never build a car that drives faster than 55 miles per hour again, regardless of safety improvements or road upgrades. And it gets worse. Many bridges in the US are aging. Rather than invest in upgrades, lawmakers feared increasing truck weight would stress infrastructure beyond its limits. So instead of building stronger roads and smarter systems, the rule became don't touch the weight. The result? While trains got longer and ships got bigger, American trucks were locked in the past. Across the Atlantic, things were moving differently. In Finland, transportation officials launched extensive studies into what would happen if trucks got longer and heavier. They looked at safety, fuel economy, road wear, and emissions. The results? High-capacity transport systems, HCTS, proved to be more efficient and environmentally friendly. By 2019, Finland raised its truck weight limit to 167,000 pounds and trailer length to 113 feet. That's more than double what the US allows. Australia took it even further. Because Australia has vast distances between towns and very little rail infrastructure, they needed a better way to move goods. Enter the road train. These monsters can stretch up to 175 feet long and weigh nearly 300,000 pounds. They're capable of moving massive loads with just one driver and one truck. Think about the economics. Fewer drivers, fewer trips, lower cost per ton. It's the definition of logistics efficiency. This is where the story gets even more surprising. Finland didn't just make trucks bigger, they made them safer too. Advanced braking systems, lane departure warnings, multiple cameras, side underride guards, and yes, airbags. Lots of airbags. Curtain airbags, side impact airbags, things US trucks simply don't have. In a controlled study, Finland tested whether longer trucks were more dangerous to pedestrians and cyclists. The results? Speed and distance mattered more than truck length. The extra footage in the trailer didn't lead to higher fatality risks. And that makes sense. If one truck does the job of two, that means fewer total trucks on the road, less traffic, lower emissions, fewer points of failure. Meanwhile, in the US, many of these safety systems are still operational or unavailable entirely. Another reason American trucks look the way they do: comfort. Most American truckers drive long distances, sometimes coast to coast. That means they live in their trucks, sleep, cook, relax. When federal rules changed in 1982 and the cab no longer counted toward the trailer length limit, truckers finally had the freedom to stretch out. The classic long-nose sleeper cab design became the norm. Iconic trucks like the Peterbilt 379 and Kenworth W900 became symbols of American road culture. But again, that comfort came at a cost. Trailer length didn't increase. Payload didn't go up. What did increase was fuel use and emissions from the larger cabs. European trucks, on the other hand, had no such luxury. Their length was tightly regulated, so designers focused on maximizing cargo space and minimizing cab size. The result? Compact, powerful, and efficient machines, like the Scania V8. So why hasn't the US trucking industry fought harder to update the laws? Partly because it's fragmented. Trucking is dominated by small businesses and independent owner-operators. Unlike major shipping or airline lobbies, truckers don't have unified representation with political weight. Also, inertia. The current system works, barely. It's familiar, regulators don't want to mess with bridge stress models, insurance companies don't want to underwrite new vehicle classes, and truck manufacturers aren't incentivized to develop radically different designs if they can't be used on American roads anyway. Plus, larger trucks could mean fewer loads, and that might seem like a threat to some drivers' jobs, even though the demand for freight has never been higher. Here's the real kicker. The longer the US waits to modernize its trucks, the more we hurt the environment. Because American trucks are limited in size, it takes more trips to move the same amount of goods. That means more diesel fuel burned, more carbon emissions, more wear and tear on roads. Studies from Finland and the EU show that bigger trucks reduce emissions by up to 30%. That's a massive opportunity, just sitting there, ignored. It's not just about bigger trailers, it's about smarter logistics. Trains can't reach every warehouse. Ships can't drive to your front door, but trucks can, if they're optimized. Some American truckers are pushing boundaries, like Bruce Wilson, who imported a 2025 Scania V8 into the US just to prove a point. His truck has more horsepower, more safety features, better tech, and smoother driving than any standard American rig. He's taking it on tour to raise awareness, and maybe even change the market. But for now, it's a one-off, a glimpse into what American trucking could be. This isn't just a truck story, it's an economic story, a climate story, a political story. It's about how policy inertia can slow down innovation. It's about how tradition can mask inefficiency. If America wants to stay competitive in freight, if it wants to lower emissions, if it wants to lead again in logistics, then it has to rethink the semi-truck. The answer isn't always to make them longer and heavier, but it is to make them better. And sometimes bigger is part of better. Europe and Australia are showing the way. The question is, will America catch up?